Hey y'all,
What's up, y'all?
I'm Elise,
And I'm Will.
and this is Team
Team
Tatum.
Tatum.
Team Tatum! We're currently watching and reviewing movies from the 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die list 2020 edition. And today we are reviewing, for your viewing and listening pleasure, Once Upon a Time in America, which came out in 1984. Not made in 1984. By who?
Sergio Leone.
Yeah. Who is mostly known for Western movies that he directed, such as Once Upon a Time in the West. Coincidence? I think not. But do you mind telling us what this movie is about, please, darling?
This movie is not a Western, but an American film. American drama, if you will. And it's about a former prohibitionist and his gang and them in America. Like, it's an American story. It's like an American dream story, which, spoiler alert, it's a nightmare. It's not a dream.
Ain't that what all the American dreams end up being? Hashtag real talk.
So this stars the one and only Roberto De Niro, or as you know, regular people call him, Robert De Niro.
Somebody read my Robert De Niro face. Talk to me. Not my voice, it's just my face. You talking to me? I don't know what my eyebrows doing right now, so don't rate those.
You doing all right.
Scene.
And James Woods,
which does have a SF in
it. Amongst other people, but those are the two top bills. Anyway, so as we said, it follows Robert De Niro's character, whose name is Noodles. His nickname is Noodles, and just his life as, you know, a young Jewish boy trying to get his life to be where he wanted to be at, right? That's a synopsis. Now for spoiler territory.
We about to tell you exactly what happened in this movie.
Right.
If you don't know what spoilers mean. Warning, spoilers ahead.
So if you ain't trying to get spoiled, get out.
Or just keep looking if you want to see our faces react without actually listening to what we say. And then we're not going to tell you when we're done saying spoilers. Thank you.
So movie starts out with a bang. Literally. This woman comes into her spot, or a room. We don't know if it's a spot or not. Comes into the room and notice something's off. Turns around, there's dudes in the room waiting on her. So they, gather around and they like, where he at? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And
she was like, I don't know. They know her. She know them.
Right.
And they know that she know them, that she knows who they looking for, and she also knows that they know who they looking for. Now,
unfortunately for her, she don't know where he at.
She was telling the truth.
But usually that's what people say when people like this come looking and it's like, where they at? You usually say, I don't know. So they shoot her real quick. Pow.
They're like, I'm gonna give you one more time, sucker. First he slapped real hard.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell me where she at. Where he at?
She was like, I really don't know where he at. That was your one time. Pow. Shot her. Didn't kill her. He was like, oh, didn't kill you? Pow. Shot to the face. We were like, yeah, no. Like, immediate. First 5 minutes of the movie.
He was like, the women?
We don't even know what she did. We don't even know who they looking for.
Right.
Then the camera pan over and there's a picture of Robert De Niro. We were like, oh, they looking for Robert De Niro. I was like, dang, they mean business.
Noodles himself.
So whatever he did, he ratted on somebody. So I was like, oh, they want you bad. Like, snitching is top tier
level
type of murder. So it's understandable why they did what they did, but we wasn't expecting that.
Right.
But it was welcome though. Like, we like that type of thrusting into a movie where it's like, okay,
like they ain't playing around.
They ain't playing around. Clearly. If somebody gets killed within the first 5 minutes, that's like,
Especially
That's a
if it's
good
not a
sign.
man, like a woman or a child get killed at the
Oh,
beginning
especially
of a
children.
movie.
Especially
It's about
children.
to go down.
Right. So then we go to some dude getting the brakes beat off of him. They using him like
Real
a
bad.
punching bag, like
literally using him as a punching bag.
right. Like Rocky in the freezer with the meat. He bloodied. They've been beating on him for hours.
Disfigured even.
And so I'm like, man, he a real friend or whatever. He ain't saying nothing. Immediately after we say that, he's like, okay, I'll tell you everything.
I'll tell you.
Okay, I'll tell you. Do you know the Muffin Man?
So he snitched on him. He had an opium den, and the opium den, apparently he a regular, because the people who work there like, hey, yo, you gotta get up. They looking for you. And he get up out of there, and his phone starts ringing.
For 20 hours straight.
When I tell you I have PTSD for old school phone ringing now, I'm not exaggerating.
If we hear a phone ring anywhere,
we get so annoyed. It triggers us so I'm just like, oh. This phone rings for the entire, like, after, so you start off great. Woman gets shot, killed. Your boy get used as a punching bag, just bloodied up. You get to finally Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro's like in his 30s, I would say, like mid 30s around there. And his phone start ringing, and it just kills the mood.
Yeah. Is every time another ring
it's
rings,
just, which I'm like, it rang so long. Would not exaggerate. Like,
you could get up, go to the bathroom, get some water, come back, sit down. That phone's still ringing.
It rang forever. And I was like, there better be a good explanation of why this phone is ringing this long. Spoiler alert, it wasn't.
We should have looked up how long it actually rang. Like, somebody timed it. I know they did.
Somebody had to put it.
We're gonna put it on the screen how long it actually rang.
But yeah, so he sobers up real quick, and he's going to where his boy is at. Now, he don't know his boy is up there, but where they had him at is where he would like be going next. So he sneaks up in there, takes them out real quick, and then comes to his boy, and he was like, I held out as long as I could, or whatever. And he goes and gets this key out of the grandfather clock, and it's to a Subway locker. And goes to the Subway locker, opens it up. There's nothing in there. Well, what he's looking for obviously ain't in there. He upset. So then he buys a ticket to get out of town. And they're like, where do you want to go? He's like, just away.
But before that happened, while he was still in there with the beat up man, he said that he was going back to his place, and the beat up man was like, they already been there. And he was basically saying, don't go back for your girlfriend. She did.
Right.
And so he had a little sad moment there for his girlfriend being dead. Then he went on about with what William said.
So he's in the subway station. He gets his ticket, and he goes. Then it goes to a transition, and he's coming back, and it's some years have passed. Decades have passed. And lo and behold, it's old man Robert De Niro. And when I say old man Robert De Niro, if this movie didn't get Oscar for best makeup, they got robbed. Because he came on the scene looking like present day Robert De Niro. Like,
maybe like early 2000s Robert De Niro.
Yeah, like early 2000s, not 2024. Maybe like 2014, maybe. But like a little bit after Meet the Parents.
The actual older in age Robert De Niro,
right,
is what we trying to say.
Like gray-haired Robert De Niro. And we were like, did they stop filming and wait till he got older to film the rest of this movie? Like the movie Boyhood? It was crazy. we were mesmerized. We were like, this is freaky. Robot in a circle. Like, this is the best old man makeup we've ever seen in our lives. Did a great job. So he's back in town. So he goes back to, what he knows, and that's looking up his boy. His boy owns a restaurant / bar or whatever. And he comes to see him. He closes up shop early. And he's like, yeah, since you left, I live here now. Like, I live above the restaurant because I had to sell the house because, business was bad. Cause they came looking for you like every day. They figured you'd come back here. I done lost everything. They would tear stuff up, yada, yada, yada. And Robert De Niro's like, dang, that's crazy.
No, he was just like, oh, so I guess you were a real friend. Anyway.
Yeah, because he thought that he stole whatever was in the locker. We found out later what that was all about. But he accused him of stealing what was in the locker. But he was like, since you living like a bum out here, I guess you didn't steal the money or whatever.
Gotta go.
Right. And at that moment, we realized Robert De Niro's character was the worst.
Garbage.
And it doesn't get any better.
It escalates.
And we were like, man, we have never disliked Robert De Niro so much. Like, he was a terrible human being. But anyway, he gets a letter, and they basically know that he's back in town.
No, he came in town because he got the letter.
Yeah. So he been gone, but they apparently knew where he was the whole time, and was just like, "Don't worry, you'll be back. Like, we'll get you when we get you." So he was like, "Well, I mean, I guess I'll come back since y'all know
where I live
and all that." So then he goes downstairs and goes to the bathroom and pulls a brick out of the wall. Like, it's clearly a brick that's always been pulled out, and he's looking through it, and it's showing like just his eyes, and it shows a girl dancing. Yeah, like that. It shows a girl dancing, and then it goes back to like his eyes, and it's like this smooth transition, and it's a younger boy. So now we've like traveled back in time, not really, but it goes back in time in the movie, in the timeline, and it's him as a young boy.
And we were happy that it was him as a young boy, because we were like, why is your pervy self sitting here watching this little girl dance? She was doing ballet. We was like, why are you watching this little girl dance with this whole nasty man? And you must have been doing it for a while, because you knew who the hoe was.
Right. And who is that young girl?
What you over here being messy for?
You know, I don't know her real name.
Jennifer Connelly?
She is the Hulk's wife. As well as the wife off of A Beautiful Mind. A lovely woman.
I think this is her first movie. I could be wrong.
You said it was her
first movie? Okay. So now he's like 13. So the movie starts out and he's like mid-30s, we want to say. Like, whatever age Robert De Niro pretty much was when this was filmed in the 80s is what he is in the beginning of the movie. And then he basically he runs away from what happened and comes back as an old man.
I can't even tell you a year of how old he's supposed to be when he came back.
Like 60s maybe?
Perhaps, maybe even 70s.
Yeah.
Like, he was gone a long time.
When he said, I'm getting out of town, he did what people are supposed to do when they're running away. Is, I'm gone. Like, I'm out here.
Except he did come back. So.
Only because they found him. But yeah, so now we're in, in our third timeline where he's now like 13. He's like a teenager or whatever, right? And you see him and you get to learn about his gang, his group of friends. And it's him,
Curly, Mo, Larry, and Squeaky.
We don't know none of their names.
Fats. Somebody
Fats.
named Fats.
Fats is the one that owns the restaurant. So Fats. It was Fats. It's Winky.
He was an unofficial gang member. Winky is a real name. Oh,
it was Cockeye. That was his name. Cockeye was his name. And then
name Cockeye.
And then there were two more kids. So in total, what?
It's Noodles.
That's Robert De Niro. Fats.
Cockeye. The little one.
Scrappy.
We yelled his name out. His name.
I'm not a full name. Irrelevant. So it's four of them, and they basically run around doing errands for the Jewish mob, basically, right? Little they runners, little tidbits of stuff.
But they be doing some big crimes.
Because they do want to advance. They like, well, we want more. We want to get more money, so we want to do bigger jobs and whatnot. So
I mean, like burning people's stuff down. That was a small job they were assigned.
Oh, yeah, they did burn that whole
newsstand down because he was late on a payment. How you expect me to get you your money if you burn down my newsstand? Now my newspaper's gone, my newsstand gone. Where am I supposed to get the money at? It's still gonna be late.
Sounds like a personal problem to me. And it burned down so quick. I mean, it's all paper. But he literally turned his back for a second, and it was just like, and go. So then they go to get paid, and the dude gives him one of the dumb, like, smoking the bandit type propositions. Like, I know I said I was gonna pay you if you did this, but would you rather get paid or rob this dude who's drunk that I'm about to kick out the bar? And they're like, we'll rob the drunk dude. So they kick him out the bar, and they follow him.
They even got to choose partially which drunk guy that they wanted to rob.
Right. So they following him down the street, and they about to rob him because he's got like a gold watch or something. Yeah, a gold watch. And they notice a cop, and it's like the neighborhood cop, and they're like, the cop watching.
Play it cool.
And so this wagon is coming by filled with junk. It's like a junk wagon. And they're like, when the wagon comes by, it's gonna block the view of the cop, and then we're gonna rob this dude, and he'll never know, right? And they plotting, looking mad suspicious on the side of the street.
John Ralphio? God, to take his son.
Old boy down there tying his shoes for the last 5 minutes, waiting on this wagon to come by, knowing he ain't got that much shoelace to be tying. And there's a boy on the back of the wagon. Well, no, sorry, on top of the wagon. And he sees them looking at him, and then looking at the cop, looking at him. So he peeped game of what's going on. So when the wagon's about to drop by, he jumps off, grabs the old man. He's like, "Hey, granddad, what you doing out here walking by yourself? Let me get you up on the cart." And then basically, gives the finger to the guys like, "I just stole your lick."
And my naive see the good in people self, when we watched it, I was like, "Oh, he helped that man." He saw that he was about to be in trouble, and he helped him get out of harm's way. Wrong.
He did not. He himself robbed that man. And he's like, "And I ain't got to split it 4 ways. It's all going to me." And the cop recognizes them because, again, they are known in the neighborhood as like these little bad, kids or whatever. So the cops still come over and question them and all of that. And they miss out on their lick.
So now they didn't get paid for the job or anything.
Right. So now they just pockets out. So time goes by. Oh, also let's double back. When young Noodles is voyeuring on Jennifer Connelly's character, she sees him looking at her, puts on a show for him, and shows her naked butt. Now, granted, it wasn't actual Jennifer Connelly's butt. She had a butt double.
A grown woman. But I told him when we were watching it, I was like, just because you get a grown person to step in to do that part doesn't make it okay. Because you're still insinuating that you're showing a naked child in these movies doing whatever kind of acts. So you're still going to jail.
But then don't give my man no play when he see it out in the
dirty to the boy.
Yeah, talking greasy. Talking greasy to him. I was like, you the one out here tooting that thing up, knowing that I'm looking at you. You done admitted that you saw me peeping in on you and you teasing me. I thought of Bernie Mac.
He was teasing me.
Me. Bernie.
But yeah, so then she played your boy. But anyway, moving on. So the boy who was on the top of the junk wagon. His name is Max. We find that out because they run into each other, and
Noodles and Max run into each other.
Yeah, Noodles and Max run into each other, and Max is taunting them like, "Look what time it is," and like showing off the gold watch and all that. But they being dumb, and Noodles steals the watch from him because he's like, "I deserve this watch." But then the cop shows up and steals the watch from him.
He's like,
And
where you get this watch from?
Yeah, where you get this watch from? And they make up some lie, and he's like, "Well, it's mine now.
It's mine now."
Tell your uncle." They said it was like their uncles or something. He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, tell your uncle come down to the precinct and I'll give it back to him." They were like,
But he dead. That's what he said. He was like, but he dead.
He's like, "Well, guess it's
like
mine
he
now."
ain't coming down there then.
So they kind of get into it, but at the same time, there's like this look of like respect because they both hate the cop so much. I don't know, but they form a friendship.
Yeah.
I wouldn't form no friendship with that dude, but that's me.
Like by the end of that scene, Noodles was helping Max carry this big load of stuff that he was carrying, and like they were already best friends basically.
They pulled a "you son of a bee."
Shut up. So Noodles and Max become friends, and Noodles introduces Max to the rest of the gang. Was like, "Hey, I know we hated him previously, but he's actually cool. Let's let him join the gang." And so now he's part of their gang too, and he's just watching them, like how they, what's the word? Operate.
Yeah.
How they operate, and he's like, "This is baby stuff y'all doing. I was doing this when I was 5. Y'all trying to make real money or what?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "This is what we gotta do. We gotta go after the big guns. We're gonna take over Bugsy's turf." And Bugsy is who they were already working for. They decided that they don't need Bugsy. They the paraphernalia. And they are in charge of this part of the neighborhood now. And things happen because of that. What kind of things, you ask? They got jumped.
Yeah, they got stomped out. Like
Literally stumped.
Literally
out.
stomping them dudes out.
In the face even a few times.
I was like, "Dang, they kids, calm down."
Grown men.
Grown
Stomped
men.
them out. Knuckles. The brass knuckles got pulled out on them.
I mean, you mess with the
I
crime
know,
boss
you
of the
said you
area.
You want to pretend to be grown. I'm going to treat you like you're grown.
Right.
And they did too.
So not too long after this, we as Team Tatum are like, "Hey, is Max
In love
with Noodles?" Because he's always like being real weird.
Yeah. He's very jealous over him and possessive about him. Like he doesn't want anybody else
Being alone with him.
having any kind of time with him, male or female. He doesn't, like, if he not involved in it, he not happy about it.
Right.
And like at first you kind of felt like, oh, he just wanted to be involved in like the business deals and all that, make sure he's not getting left out. But it ain't got nothing to do with business. Like he wanted to be there
Like
for anything.
he messed up a good thing. He had another shot at Jennifer Connelly. They having a little talk, and she basically told him, I like you, or whatever. But you know, you don't go to the synagogue or nothing, so you kind of a bad boy. And I know my parents ain't gonna go for that. And you dirty, you know.
Literally.
Like she literally told him dirty. She was like, "You ain't washed since last December."
year. And it looked like it was wintertime at the time.
Right.
It was like a year ago.
She was like, "You cute and all that, but I mean, you stink, and your
hairline crooked.
your hairline crooked."
You're dusty.
Talking real bad about him, but at the same time, be like, "But you still cute though.
I like you.
I like you, but I can't get with you. You know, you a broke boy. I can't do nothing with you." But still, she's like, "I don't know."
Something about you, boy.
And then here come Max, like, "Hey, breaking up the party and calling them outside. And if I'm Noodles, I'm just like, man, boy, go on somewhere. But he going out there like,
she's like,
good
go
friend.
on. Your mother's calling you. Hit him low.
Yeah, the whole movie,
she had them come back.
She was talking to him disrespectful, but he liked it though. He was just like, I like a spunk. So then
that was when they got jumped.
Yeah, that is when they got jumped. So they start doing bigger and better things or whatever, and then there's a lot of questionable scenes in this movie. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie.
Every scene is like, what?
So we gonna be jumping around.
Well, the movie itself jumped around as well, though.
Well, no, it didn't really jump around
sequentially
that much. So we'll get to that.
Went from old man to young man,
let me get to another 13-year-old. So I'm gonna break it down like this. There's middle-aged Robert De Niro. There's teenage Robert De Niro, and there's old man Robert De Niro. So let me get to a teenage Robert De Niro. What's happening here? So he goes home and it's after some job that they did, and he's like, he was on top of the world. He's having a great time with his boys, and they were like, all right, well, I'm going home. He's like, well, crap, because he hates his home life. His dad's a drunk. His mom is,
his daddy was beating his mom up. That's what he was talking about in that scene.
Yeah. So he's like, I don't want to go home. Like, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and read, because that's the one place I can go where I don't be bothered. So he in the bathroom, sitting on the toilet, reading.
He wasn't even sitting on the toilet reading. He was like standing in front of the mirror, like watching himself read weirdly.
And then he heard this girl named Patty coming. Lord have mercy, Patty. So that's when he get on the toilet, pull his pants down, sit on the toilet
to make it look like he's using a bathroom.
Unlocks the door, because it's in New York back in the
still today too.
Yeah, still today. You got was a communal bathroom or whatever in the apartment complex, like it's on the one floor
in some apartments.
And so she goes to open the door and it's unlocked because he left it unlocked. Well, he unlocked it so she would walk in, and we find out Patty nasty. Patty the little nasty girl in the apartment, because he's like,
too.
I mean, yeah, obviously he nasty, but she walk in because he like, you like what you see sitting on the toilet? And she's like, you know what, I do like what I see. And apparently they be paying her in like pastries from Fat's restaurant, from his family's restaurant, and that's how she get paid. I was like, dang, you out here selling the body for cupcakes and whatnot. And Patty a little on the big side, she a little thick. And it's like, I see why, because you
eating up pastries.
You eating up all these pastries every day. And so this is the first serious red flag of Robert De Niro's character Noodles is a terrible human being. So he's like, you done seen mine, let me see yours. So she's like, all right, whatever, that's light work for me. Right. Lifts up a dress, shows it, and then he's like, ooh, give me that. And like tries to take advantage of it. We were like, whoa, calm down. And even she was like, looksies, yeah. And he's like, come on, girl, and just like fighting her all over her, like
hand down her top, everything.
And she's like, chill out, you ain't even paid me, bro. I wouldn't be putting up a fight if you gave me something, but you just trying to come out here. And he is not taking no for an answer. And something happens that causes him to stop, like some outside force. Yeah. And that's the only thing that saved her. Otherwise, that'd have been a wrap for Patty and her quote unquote innocence. So that's strike one. So then time goes on and they see the cop sneaking onto the rooftop of their building.
It's the same cop that they always have beef with.
Yeah. And so they follow the cop and he meeting up with Patty. This is a grown cop, by the way. Grown cop.
Mustache.
And
Winslow grown.
And Patty the same age as them. Turns out Patty ain't discriminating. If you got pastries,
he gave her extra.
Well, he gave her extra.
He ain't giving her.
If you giving her something, she down for it or whatever, right? So they up on the rooftop where quote unquote can't nobody see them, and they go get their little camera and they pull the curtain back where they were hiding it and take a picture, and then they send the little one. We gonna call him Little Bit. They send
So sad I can't remember his name.
right. They send Little Bit running off with the photograph or whatever, and they blackmail the cop. Now Patty ain't embarrassed. Patty back there like laughing about it, like haha, you got caught. She don't care nothing about her reputation.
She said, "Y'all know me, baby. You know what I do."
And so they tell the cop, like, you gonna start working for us now, just like you work for Bugsy. So whenever we pulling jobs, you gonna look the other way, or we gonna tell everybody, you know, you
sleeping with
a minor or whatever. And he was like, "Is that it?" And he was like, "And you gonna let us have a run at Patty?"
No, that was the first thing he said. He was like, "You gonna pay for us to sleep with Patty whenever we want." He was like, "That's all? Easy." And he was like, "And also the part about Bugsy."
Yeah. And so when he agrees to that, Noodles, first one up, goes in there. He in and out in 3 seconds. And she laughed him out of there. She was like, "See, told you. I don't know why you was rushing for it. Now you done embarrassed yourself. And you're done already." And now he all sad because he not a virgin no more. But he just got laughed out of there or whatever. Because he went in there talking big stuff. That he was a virgin, but his first time he didn't even have to pay for it. Or whatever, which is a weird thing to brag about. But he in there, in and out real quick. Less than a minute, man. So then it's Mac's turn. Max go in there, and Max can't get it up. And me and Elise are like, "You know why he can't get it up?
He's not interested.
He's not interested."
But they can fly back then, so he had to pretend to be interested.
Right. And so they, they rag on him about it or whatever, and he was just like, whatever, blames it on something.
Eventually he did, and they did go through with it.
Nah. So yeah, now they pulling bigger, better jobs and whatnot, and Bugsy, what is his name? Bugsy. He's like, "I ain't gonna have no more of this," and so he catch them in the streets slacking. And this is one of the more prominent times where the score is played. The score is basically Cockeye playing his flute, and it sounds beautiful and it's great.
I'm sick of.
But what she said. So we mentioned this in another movie where it's okay to have one song as like the score and have it play throughout, but make it have a lot so that you can spread it out.
Yeah, different parts to the song.
This was the same, like 5 notes
looped,
and it was like, okay, we get it, we're sick of it. And this is not the first time we've heard the song. This is multiple throughout the movie, but this is like the most this is what sticks out to me when I think about the song, is this scene. Also, tidbit, I read that a lot of people don't like the point of the movie that deals with teenage Robert De Niro. Like, they hate the kid section.
I like the kids
and
section.
I was like, that's my favorite part. I love the kid section. But yeah, they don't like a lot of people don't like the back in time when he was a kid. But anyway,
probably some people trying to be PC.
I don't know. It's like, kids were gangsters. Like, kids they
still
are gangsters. Like, what are you talking about? And there's a point in time where like America was super poor, especially in New York. Like, but anyway,
had to do what you had to do.
So they in the streets, laughing, skipping, crip walking down the street,
being cheering,
and then Bugsy come around the corner and was like, "Hey, I heard y'all was out here playing on my name," and they like, "Oh snap, Bugsy coming," and they take off running, and it goes into slow mo, and your boy Lil Bit get clapped in the back, pow, Ricky style. So he fall. Noodles is like, "No," goes to get him. He's like, "I slipped."
He really did think he just slipped.
Right, he did. So Noodles, that's it. He sees red, and
as the kids say, he crashed out. He really crashed out.
But he did crash out though, because he was like, "Oh, it's on site." He pull out his little switchblade, and he go hunting because Bugsy's still there. Now Bugsy, creeping through the boxes because they like
looking for the kids.
Yeah, looking for the kids. Man, Noodles run up on him, shank, 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 shank,
yelling the whole time. That's when you know you real mad about it.
He shanked him a million times. so much that it caused a disturbance.
Yeah,
The cops
came because they heard the gunshots.
Yeah,
so they were already on their way. They got there. He's still stabbing Bugsy.
They pull him off of Bugsy. He's like, "You want some of this too?"
Stab the cop.
Shanks up one of the cops. The other cop luckily gets him and pins him down. Noodles goes to jail or whatever.
They both
right?
died, by the way.
Yeah,
Bugsy
they did.
and the cop both died. Double homicide.
And so now we have another skip forward, and this is where we get middle-age timeline. De Niro, he's just getting out.
Of jail.
And Max picks him up. Max is played by James Woods. Max is played by James Woods. It's
and he hasn't seen them since he's been in jail, apparently.
Yeah, he went in at 13, 14, whatever year he was, and now he 30 some years old. He did it at least a decade.
They were in their 20s.
What, when they were kids?
No, when he got out of jail, brother.
Oh. I'm
old. I think he was in his 20s. I don't know, man.
I still say they're in their 30s. Early 30s.
Yeah.
But anyway, they, Prohibition is getting over with. They have a funeral party for the death of Prohibition or whatever. He reconnects with everybody. They're still a gang. They still running things, especially since Bugsy dead now. So when he get out, he rich or whatever. They've been stockpiling money away.
They had a legit business. I forgot what it was.
A funeral home.
The funeral home. And they were making their money through Prohibition also, but since that ended, they were like, "Well, we got to go back to doing other stuff to supplement."
Right. And so they meet up at the club that they got, and he reconnects with Jennifer Connelly's character. It's not Jennifer Connelly anymore. It's an older lady.
I want to say her name was Elizabeth.
I don't remember that later name. But she tell him like, "I've been counting the days since you've been gone," and
literally said the actual number of days he's been gone. He's like, "Oh, you actually did love him,
right?
In your weird way."
And she's like a movie star now, or she's like on her way to being a big movie star. Placed like a Broadway play actress and all that. Patty's still around.
She gained weight. Those pastries caught up with her.
Patty's still out here slinging that thing, but now she in charge of the girls.
Yeah, she the madam.
Yeah, she the madam now. So she pimping these other, but she's still out here.
But by choice,
right?
Not by need.
And yeah, they doing their thing, and even so this another example of Max being like, you really playing your hand. When he picked him up from prison, going backwards a couple scenes, picked him up from prison, he brought a girl who he staged in a casket. Like he opened up because he picked him up in a hearse, and he slid the door open and he opened up the casket, and he's like, "Look at this girl," and he moved like the cloth away from her. She's naked, and then he's like, Robert De Niro's like, "Why would you show me a naked dead woman?" or whatever. But then she pops up, and he's like, "Surprise, this is for you. I know you've been in prison, all this time. You ain't got none. Go and hop in the back and get some."
The woman pulls him into the hearse, like while he pretty much as soon as she jumps out and says surprise, she pulls him in.
Yeah.
And they getting busy in the back of the hearse while Max is driving them to the place.
And like looking back over his shoulder, but not in like, "Yeah, my boy," like, yeah. My boy. We going scene by scene. We try not to do that. So fast forward to them having to do a job where they steal some diamonds from a jeweler or whatever, right? And Joe Pesci is in the movie for all of 10 seconds. He's the one who gives them a job to go steal these diamonds, because again, Prohibition is over, so they got to make their money elsewhere. And also the unlikable Mickey. No, not Mickey. Mickey was unlikable. But what's the fool name?
I don't know who Mickey is.
From Rocky.
Oh,
Paulie. Paulie, old punk self, is in this movie. He the one that gave him the tip. They gave Joe Pesci the tip about the thing with the jewelry. So they go rob this jewelry store, and the lady, the wife of the jewelry store owner, is in on it. Like apparently she loose with it, and she been messing around with Paulie, and she was running her mouth telling Paulie all the details about the jewelry shop and all that, which just gave him this idea. And so she's in on this robbery, but she's overacting and she's screaming. She's like, just hamming it up.
And she told Noodles, she was like, you gotta make it look real so he doesn't think that I'm part of it. So you gotta rough me up just like you roughing him up.
And Noodles like,
he took it too hard.
Pow. Backhands her and then assaults her. SA's her. Quick. Like no build up, no like warnings, just it happens. We were like, yo, this is your MO. Like this is what you like to do. Right? And even his boys, even Max and them are just like,
hey, brother.
Yo,
I thought this was going
right.
But then Max started cheering him on. But he also looked a little jealous again at the same time.
Yeah, he did. So then the next scene is one of the coldest things I've ever seen in my life. So they go deliver the diamonds to Paulie, right? And Paulie got the little jeweler magnifying monocle thing, and he looking at the diamonds, and he was like, how was it? He was like, it's not Lil Bit, because Lil Bit dead. It's the other dude that we don't know his name. We're gonna call him Bob. So Bob is the one,
everybody but his name,
right? So Bob is the one showing the diamonds like, yo, we did the job where the money at. And Paulie is like looking at the diamonds with the thing. He's like, how'd it go? And he's like, oh, kid stuff. Bob pulls out the snub nose, puts it directly up against the monocle thing that Paulie's looking at, and bow, pulls the trigger, blood everywhere. We were like, oh my God. I ain't never seen nobody shoot nobody through the monocle. I was like, you ain't had to do them like that. And then they just bounce. Elise said they did go back off screen and get the diamonds and the money.
Think they did.
But it looked like they just popped that dude and was just like, yeah, we that bad or whatever, right? And took off. After Noodles chased the one dude who got away somehow because they turned that car into Swiss cheese. Bob shoot Paulie in the face and then steps back, and everybody else that was in the car tear that car up a Swiss cheese. Everybody in there shot up to death. But one dude gets away and Noodles chases after him. But anyway, so now we done, more stuff has happened, and Robert De Niro like meets with his boo thing. I don't know her character's name.
I'm gonna keep calling her Elizabeth.
Okay, we just call her Elizabeth. So I'm sorry. There's a lot of people in this movie,
and it's been a while since we watched this movie.
Also
now
true.
that we're doing this reaction, we remember what happened. We can't remember what
nobody's
happened
name.
and the people's names.
Right.
We don't got the capacity.
So he take her on this romantic date. Like he pick her up, take her to this French restaurant, and he done bought out the whole restaurant. He's like, pick any table you want. Real romantic stuff. Have a nice dinner. Go to the beach. Lay out on the beach, talking about their dreams and aspirations or whatever.
Lovely day.
Lovely time. Taking her back. He in the back seat, chauffeur driving or whatever. And he's like, man, I can't believe it took all this time for us to get together, but this is great. Starts to kiss her, and she accepts the kiss, but then he goes back to his Robert De Niro ways and starts filling her up, and she's like, yo, hold on, like not in the back seat or whatever.
I'm a lady, sir.
And he's just like, man, forget all that. And once again,
S.A.'s her.
S.A.'s her.
The love of his life, allegedly.
Right. And the driver also is trash, just as trash as De Niro, and he lets it happen until he finishes, basically. Then he gonna abruptly apply on the brakes and come open the back door, like, get out. Like, he finished now. What you stopping the car for now? And Noodles gets out and is just like
gets himself back together and was like, tried to give the driver some money and was like, here, take her home, make sure she gets home.
And the driver gonna have an attitude.
Yeah, he wouldn't take the money from him and walked back to the car all attitudinally, and you can hear Elizabeth crying in the background still. And then they drive off. Like, you do not get to have an attitude, sir. You let it happen still. If you were this concerned about it, right when you saw what was happening, you would have stopped the car.
Facts. So this is the second completed essay.
Yeah, and one
attempted essay. So we're just like, yo, this dude's crazy.
Trash.
And
the trashiest.
And yeah, so then they wind up getting, you know, more rich and all that stuff. They meet back up with old girl that played her husband, the jewelry store owner's wife. They bring her into their little private back room, and they had masks on when this happened, when they robbed her.
Yeah.
And so they meet her and like, yo, we the ones who robbed and SA'd you.
They were being cutesy about it though.
Yeah, like it was funny.
Do you remember us? And then put like bandanas across their face. And she was like, oh, you boys. How could I forget? He was like, how could you forget? And also, why are you saying this in a pleasant manner?
Yeah, like they played a prank on you. And then starts this relationship with Max. And that gets weird. And Max once again lets out his true feelings. And he dogs her out real bad when Noodles...
Noodles left for a while after he did what he did to Elizabeth.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
And when he came back, that was when we found out that Max was still in a relationship with the lady, and everybody was looking at Noodles all weird when he got there. It was like the longest awkward silence. Other people referred to it as the scene off of The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, and it really is that scene off of The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. You know, the
Mexican standoff.
All eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically that. And my own tidbit: this is the same director.
Good job.
Thank you very much. But yeah, so they had that weird. He looking at me, I'm looking at him. We can see what's gonna happen situation, and then finally somebody talks, and then this happens.
Yeah. So they mad at him because he done, been MIA because of the Jennifer Connelly thing, and he's like, "Oh, you the pot calling the kettle black? You up and messing around with old girl or whatever?" He's like, "I don't care nothing about her. I'll kick her to the curb right now." He's like, "B, get out of here.
You wanna go? Huh? She's gone. F her. Blah blah blah." And
Right.
she's like, "What are you saying me for?"
I woke up, I looked at the computer said, Floyd said, fuck T.I., fuck Nelly, fuck 50. I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
And it gets super violent and just loud out of nowhere.
For no reason.
No reason.
Whatsoever. Even Noodles was like, "Calm down, brother.
Like,
She don't gotta leave."
Right, it ain't that serious. I was just saying.
Just making a comparison.
Right,
That's
it was
it.
hypocritical. But yeah, so
She
then
left though.
Dennis, and this might not have happened in this order, but this was weird. It was crazy, and it's a super jacked up thing to do to somebody. I was with it, but it was wild still. So there's a cop who's the chief of police. Is the chief of police, and he's having he's having a baby. He's having his first baby boy. Because we find out later, once he gets to the hospital, he's got like 4 or 5 girls, and this is his first boy. They sneak into the hospital, find his baby in the what's the place called? Nursery. Find his baby in the nursery, switch the ID tag with another baby. But then they like, that ain't enough. They switched around all the babies. So not only are they messing up his life, they messing up all these other innocent parents' lives. And they're writing down on a piece of paper who all they switched. But then they lose the paper. And they bring in the baby to the chief of police, who's played by, his name is like Aioli or something, like Dan Aioli or something like that.
Alien.
He's always a New York cop, and he always has his actual last name. Well, he's not always, but he's played a New York cop multiple times.
You might know him from, say that movie I'm thinking about.
Harlem Nights.
Yay!
He
was the cop.
And for whatever, it's always his actual last name, like as his character name. But anyway, he meets his son for the first time, and the baby's crying. He's like, "Oh, he probably needs his diaper change," and he's like, "Let me do it or whatever." I'll do it.
Penis.
Let's see that.
He
penis.
really was like, "Let me see that penis."
And he was like, "Let all you girls know that from now on,
After
outside of me, He's the man of the house now.
He's in charge.
Now his girls like
They're
range from like
whatever, daddy.
3-year-old to like 8-year-old or whatever. He's like, he a new man in charge. He my new favorite, basically. He undo the diaper and he sees it's a girl. And he's like, what is this? What is this? He's slapping her on
the baby
vagina. He's like, what is this? What is this right here? He yelling at his wife. He yelling at the nurse. He's like, where is my son? Y'all better get my son in here. This is the chief of police. He's like, I will burn this place to the ground if y'all don't give me my son. He was wilding out. Kids crying, wife crying, everybody freaking out.
Nurse crying.
Right. The phone ring and it's Robert De Niro now, and they tell him, they're like, yo, we did it. And he's like, where my son at? And he was like, chill out. He in the hospital. You don't know where, because we switched all the babies out. They don't tell him that they done forgot which baby is which, but they give him a demand. There's some political stuff going on with like the union and all of that. I didn't really follow that stuff for real.
There's some guy that was running to be the leader of one of the unions, and somehow he got involved with them and they're backing him and trying to help him win the election. And to do that, they had to somehow get to the chief of police.
Yeah, they had to get the cops
to get him on their side, because they were strong-arming the guy so that their person could win, so they could still be basically running stuff illegally.
Yeah, because this guy was one of your few actually good politicians who wanted to make the world a better place.
That's why I was like, I don't know how he ended up getting involved with them. He didn't even want to at first,
because he wanted to be a good guy.
Bullied him into them supporting him.
Right. But yeah, so they give him whatever demands about the union thing. He backs out, and they return his son to him. They just gave him another boy, basically. So it was like 30 babies in this nursery. So
all switched at birth.
All of them switched at birth. So ain't nobody. People done got divorced because the baby looked like not the daddy. You know what I'm saying?
They for some reason got some blood drawn at some point in their life and found out, and they're like, you been cheating on me?
Right. They done ruined like multiple marriages. So then, wrapping this up, Max wants to pull this like one big last job, but it's crazy, and Noodles is like, this is suicide. Like, he's gonna rob some big bank.
They basically wanted to rob Fort Knox.
Right.
Whatever the Fort Knox of New York is, they wanted to rob
that. And so he's like, the only way you gonna stop me is if you rat on me, and the cops come and arrest me. So Noodles is like, bet
I will.
So this is where this phone ringing comes back in, because he's haunted from ratting on his friends, because the phone rings and it's the other end where he's calling the police, telling them what's about to go down. So basically, when the movie starts, he been drugging himself up in the opium den, trying to forget
that they did.
Because
why they're dead.
The cops show up because it's it's a sting operation at this point. So they rob the bank. The cops know they robbing the bank. They show up, kill them. There's a shootout. Car explodes or whatever. They get burned, and he sees all four of them. They corpses, laid out in the street. 3 of them.
It was Cockeye, Max, and Bob.
Yeah.
Poor Bob. His name saved his life.
And so
you could recognize Cockeye and Bob. Max was burnt to a crisp.
So this is where the movie starts, where he has to get out of town because they knew that he snitched on them. And now we're back to old man Robert De Niro. And he meets up with Jennifer Connelly's character, Elizabeth. She don't look the same age as them.
I don't know. She still looks like when he saw her again and she was a movie star.
Yeah.
She was still that age.
She had a couple of crow's feet. Barely. And I was like, why he look like present day Robert De Niro?
You still in the past.
Yeah, and you look like you aged 5 years, basically. So I didn't like that. I was like, great makeup job. A+ on Robert De Niro.
And James Woods too.
And James Woods. Spoiler alert: James Woods didn't die. He faked his death.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I mean, the stuff that happened with older Jennifer Connelly character, like forget her. Oh, it is important. I was gonna say it wasn't important. So she got with Max because she's like, oh, my son is coming, you know, to come get me or whatever, blah blah blah. Son comes to get her, and they had the actor who played young Max play the son. And so
I was thinking that it was Noodle's son and that they had young Noodles playing him.
No,
but you're right.
And Noodles is looking
exactly like him because you know it's the same actor.
But Noodles is looking at him with the Weebay face, like, oh,
it's all coming together.
So
I know who invited me here now.
Right.
He still didn't know who wrote the letter to him to get him back into town in the first place. But once he got to that, he was like, the call was coming from inside the house. Mm-hmm.
So he goes to the spot where the letter told him to go, and lo and behold, it's Max. Max is the one who wrote the letter to get him back to New York. He faked his death. He was like, I know you were a good friend, so I knew you were gonna call the cops on me. I already had it set out so that I could fake my death or whatever. He done reinvented himself as a politician. Mm-hmm. He mad rich, like stupid rich than he was before. And then he's like, why did you do it? And he's like, because I wanted to piss you off so you would kill me, because it turns out that I might be crazy like my daddy. My daddy died from being crazy, and I don't want to go out like that. And the only way I could go out is...
He wanted him to literally kill him, not for him to have to fake his death, but for him to literally pass away.
Right. He was like, no one can do it but you. Basically, I love you so much.
You're the only person I would allow to kill me.
And Robert De Niro's like, look, man, I ain't on that no more. I'm an old man. Like, I got an AARP card. Like, I'm out that life. When I left New York, like when I left, you know, wherever we at, I left that life behind me. I don't do that mess no more. And so, you know, James Woods gets mad at him, and he's like, whatever, peace out. Pieces out, is walking out the front of the estate, and there's a weird Japanese architecture in the background. Like, it's not the background, he's walking away from the camera.
Noodles.
And the scenery of like the city that he's walking out into, it's not New York. It's Japanese architecture. And I was like, what's happening right now?
Where are we?
Yeah, where are we? And then there's a garbage truck sitting out front.
James Woods is standing.
Well, before James Woods comes out, the garbage truck is just out there.
It was already there?
It was already out there, and it was just sitting there. And it was like, why is this garbage truck out in the middle of the night? Like, there's a party going on at James Woods' place, at Max's place. And then once Noodles, it's an estate. Once Noodles gets like out in front of it and across the street, the lights turn on and it starts coming towards him. And he sees James Woods come out the front where he came out, like standing at the gates. And then he starts running towards him. And he's kind of running parallel with the truck. And then once the truck passes him, you don't see James Woods no more. And he's like, where'd he go? And we like, where'd he go? And then it shows the truck drive off.
And it's like focusing on
the back of the truck. And the stuff is getting, turning and churning and crushing. And we're like, did he jump in the back and commit suicide? And Lisa's like, where's the blood? If he jumped in, if he got crushed, there'll be blood everywhere. And then credits. That was it. And I know I've read that people are like, they have all these theories about what happened, that none of the movie happened after.
None of it was actually real.
Like, he woke up from the opium den.
Well,
like,
not none of it.
It all happened up until the opium den. The rest of the movie is basically a fever dream. Like, he's just super high.
Yeah. And that's why Elizabeth still looked the same age, because that's how he portrayed her in the dream of being that same age. And that's why Max's son looked exactly like Max. But Max was older in the future, and he looked like old James Woods. But so Max and Noodles were the only people that were actually, well, no, Fats was old too.
Yeah, Fats was old.
So they were all old in the future and looked like how they would look if they got older. But some people theorized that he did call the police, They did get killed.
And he felt terrible and remorse, and that's why he started.
He was guilt stricken,
getting high with the opium,
and that was it. Like, he was just high.
Yeah, and that's why the phone ringing thing was so prevalent, because it's him thinking about the phone call he made. Still super unnecessary for how long it was.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
It could have rang 4 times, just zoomed in on the phone, and it would have made the actual impact that they wanted it to make, instead of it ringing for 4 minutes long.
Yeah, we got the connection. Like, once they made that connected thread, we were like, oh, that's him. Like, he'll never stop. I can hear it in my head. But how they did it was just excessive.
Oh, I hear it in my head.
But yeah, so that was the end of the movie. And again, I hated it. Hated the end. The end of the movie. I hated the end of the movie. There were some cool shots. I loved seeing all the different actors that I recognize. Even Paulie, I hate his guts.
I know.
I hate Paulie so much.
Was the worst.
I was...
Watch our Rocky review.
Right. I was like, yeah, shoot Paulie in the face when he shot him. But at the same time, I was like, oh, so violent. They was real thugs out here.
Real thugs.
They was real thugs. This is not our first Sergio Leone movie. We've watched a couple of his westerns. It's in watching his movies that I found out what a spaghetti western was, because I had heard Tarantino use the term before. And like I said in I think High Plains Drifter, I didn't grow up watching westerns. She did. And so I had heard the term spaghetti western just through Tarantino. Like, I had never heard it until I started watching his movies. Because he talked about them all the time. And he would talk about Sergio Leone.
And I've basically seen all of Sergio Leone's westerns.
So yeah, this is his first American film, and we did, by the way, watch the full director's cut. So we watched the 3-hour, 49-minute joint. We didn't watch the butchered theatrical release.
All right.
Which,
unfortunately, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Tell them about it, baby.
So the movie was originally like 6 hours long before editing, and the studio was just like, that's ridiculous. Nobody's doing that. He was like, what if I do a 3-hour movie and in the intermission, 3 hours, two-parter, and then, do the other half? And they were like, no, that's not happening. No one's sitting through 6 hours.
Though people like, go to see double features, so.
Right.
Well, they used to.
So they forced him to cut it down. He was like, I ain't doing it. They were like, bet, you don't got nothing in your contract to say we can't do it, so we're going to do it ourselves. And they chopped it up for how they saw it fit and made it like 2.5 hours.
And they put it in chronological order.
Yes, and they put stuff in chronological order. And so people saw it and were like, this movie sucks. And it bombed. And they lost all their money. And then years later went by, and somebody, I forgot exactly how it happened, but he got the opportunity to recut the movie the way he wanted to. And so he recut the movie, and that got the 3-hour, 49-minute chronological order erased movie that we saw, which is how he wanted it to be seen.
Even though it's still not fully how he wanted it.
It's better than,
because it's not the 6 hours.
It's not the 6-hour joint, but he was like, I can still make it work.
Yeah.
And when he did that and released that director's cut and people watched it, then it got all the praise and everybody was like, this is amazing.
So now it's great. What people rave about.
Right. But what people saw in '84 in the theaters was hot garbage.
In America.
In America.
The American release was terrible.
Right.
That's where it got trashed. As you know, Americans, we always think we know the best. And so that's why the American production company did what they did to the movie, thinking that they knew what the audience would like to see, and they were wrong.
Right.
Like a lot of times.
But I'm like, if it's Sergio, it's not like he was an unknown director.
Yeah.
I would have been like, let him cook. I still would have probably been like, yo, you can't have no 6 hours.
Yeah, movie. It's gotta be shorter.
It's gotta be shorter than 6.
I can't give you the 6.
But I ain't gonna take you out of the equation and chop it up myself to barely 2.5 hours kind of deal, and then rearrange the order that you had set it in.
Because you have to watch it out of order, because stuff from that is what makes it flash back or forward to the next scene. So if you put it in chronological order, once it gets to that flashback or forward, and then it goes to the next scene of the same time,
It don't really make sense.
Did something get cut out right here? What's going on? Why did it have this big jump? It's stupid.
Right. Now I will say he still could have cut some more out of this movie. Like there was still some stuff where I was like, all right, this is you dragging this out, bro. Like this is not tension. This is just like, what are we doing here still?
It's like you were watching stuff happen in real time.
Right. We were like, let's move this on.
I'm gonna cook some eggs. Let me go to the fridge, get the eggs out, close the fridge, put them on the counter. Oh, I need a bowl to mix the eggs in. Like it went step by step by step,
day by day,
day by day.
So yeah, it still could have been cut down.
Oh, man.
This is one of those movies where I was definitely looking at my watch like, yo.
We ended up having to.
We took a break. We took our own intermission.
It took us 2 days, I think, to finish this movie because we were like, all right, I ain't gonna make it. Like, we waited too late. I don't know.
Right.
Let's pick back up tomorrow.
Like the acting in it was great and all that. Like I said, I really enjoyed the kid portion. I would have been cool if the whole movie was them as teenagers, like in New York. But yeah, like again, Robert De Niro, terrible person. Noodles. We love Robert De Niro. Noodles is a terrible person. Like he's the worst protagonist ever.
He was a bad guy.
Man, yeah. Like usually, like people's like, I got to do what I got to do. No, Noodles was.
He did not have to.
He did not have to do it. He just wanted to do it. Like he was bad.
But would you say he or Max was the worst?
I would say he was the worst because he was doing it again because he was like, I woke up today and this is what I want to do. Max did his bad stuff. He was acting out. Like Max was always like trying to prove to somebody that he was tough, or he was like, let me prove to Noodles that I'm, worthy to be looked at. He was like, look at me, witness me.
I forgot about witness me.
Is what he wanted. So Max was like a victim of his circumstances. Still a bad guy. But Noodles is that real deal. Right. Like, don't cross Noodles. Don't even be in his general vicinity. Because he loved Jennifer Connelly and he did her like that. I was like, God.
Hate to see how you treat your enemies.
Right.
This is how you treat the people you love.
So yeah, we both liked it. We both liked the acting. The makeup was great, except for Jennifer Connelly. But
not Jennifer Connelly, the adult.
The adult Jennifer Connelly. But that
Jennifer
might
was an actual kid in the movie, so she did not play the
right
person.
That might have to deal with the whole theory of that's the way that he envisioned her. So I might let that slide.
Yeah.
But
that's the only reason.
That's the only reason. But yeah, this movie is way too long. This, no diss to Sergio.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've watched multiples of his movies at this point. I think I've watched 3 now. She's watched more because she's watched more Westerns.
I didn't know he was the director of them though. I don't look at who the director of movies are. I've just started basically since we've been together because he tells me who the director is, and that brought me to start like noticing. It was like, oh, this style, this must be directed by this person. Like I could do that before too, but I didn't actually know who the director was. I just knew that movies of the same style must have been directed by the same person. But now I could tell you a little something about directors from time to time.
But I would rate Once Upon a Time in America. It's tough. Because there's parts I really liked, but then there's parts I really did not like, where I was just like, this is drawn out. I don't have anything against the terrible things that Noodle did, like the essay stuff. Like, I'm not knocking any of that.
He's not taking anything off of his ratings.
What she said.
Because of that.
Yes. What she said.
You need a lawyer by this video.
In the scope of the movie, I'm like, okay,
It's not taking away any points.
It's not taking away any points. I know people do that when stuff happens to them personally and they see it in a movie. Like if they don't like things happening to babies and something bad happens to a baby, they're like, this movie's terrible. And it's like, it's not really terrible. It's just that they got triggered because something happened to like their child, or they're a new mom and they couldn't fathom something happened to their baby. I'm just like, I can separate that type of stuff. If it works for the movie, I'm cool with it. But yeah, it was long. It was dragged out. So like, it's a light 3 Cowboy Ninjas out of 5 for me. Like, cause I didn't dislike it. I liked it, but it's just like, I don't want to watch it again cause I don't got that kind of time in my hand. And it felt long. Like we've watched other movies that are 3+ hours long and they just...
Well. Turns out technology decided to betray us. / me.
Mostly her.
I felt like I did a good recap and review, but apparently the video thought otherwise because it cut off right at the end of William giving his review. So we're just gonna act like this is the same day and that nothing is different. Here's my part.
So, Elise, what did you think about Once Upon a Time in America, and does it deserve to be on the 1001 movies you must watch before you die?
I'm glad you asked that, William. So, from what I recall, which is all of it, because I definitely just watched this movie. And this was not a long time after we recorded the first part. I did like the movie. I remember that. I loved the makeup because if you haven't seen it, we've already said previously in this video, watch it because old man De Niro looks like old man De Niro. Like,
Does.
It looks like they just, as we said also, paused filming this movie, waited on him to actually get old in real life to film that part, and they already had the clips they needed from when he was younger and put it together. Beautiful makeup. Shout out to this person who did the makeup for this movie. I did like how it jumped from past to present and all of that. Well, past, middle past, present. I appreciated it. I am slightly interested in seeing the version where they put it in chronological order just to see how messed up it is. For the most part, I did enjoy the movie, and I think originally I said that I do think that this deserves to be on the list, but now I'm going back
Gasp.
and saying that I don't think it deserves to be on the list because pretty much what I say in each one when I say whether it should be on the list or not, it wasn't really, well, the makeup was innovative. I would maybe even say groundbreaking. Because I'm usually like, it wasn't innovative or groundbreaking in any kind of way, but that makeup was real.
But is it groundbreaking to us because we are living in a time where we know what old Robert De Niro looks like?
Even with blinders on, like not knowing what he looks like today, he looked like an old man. It didn't look like he had makeup on pretending to be an old
That's
man.
True.
He looked genuinely like an old man in the movie. So I might have to go back on my word.
Flip flopper.
But aside from the makeup though, like there wasn't anything but be on the list for the controversy of it being a 6 hour long movie getting cut down to
I was talking about the essays.
Oh, that too, but movies had already done that too before this movie did. aka what's that fool name? Clint Eastwood.
Oh,
High Plains
Drifter.
Yeah,
That was different though.
that was different.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but that was a different vibe than the essay going on in this.
Anyway,
I'm not saying it was right. I'm just saying it was a difference.
and so for my rating of the movie, I would give Once Upon a Time in America 3 Cowboy Ninjas out of 5. Well, that's my thoughts.
Alright, well, you heard it here first, folks. This is Once Upon a Time in America from 1001 Movies You Must Watch Before You Die. Thoughts and review and rating from Team Tatum.
And we both said it doesn't deserve to be on the list.
Yeah.
So.
But
don't stop it from watching it, or you from watching it.
Yeah, still watch it.
Don't let that stop you from watching it. That's a sentence.
Yeah, don't go on us. If you want to watch it,
you just don't have to see it.
Right. We didn't hate it. We didn't hate it. But yeah, we will continue this journey on, hopefully with no more technical difficulties, which we are not having right now, obviously. But catch the next thoughts and ratings on the next episode of Team Tatum.
Shout out to Esteban and CJ.